Hi, this is Dr. Otto Jenke with the Empire Longevity Podcast. You know, we see many times on the internet, and it's on the news often. We're inundated with this stuff, with how AI, artificial intelligence, is, first of all, it's in play with us right now. Even if you don't want to be in play, it's in play. Second of all, it's how it's going to be revolutionary and absolutely critical for us as we move forward in our health and our longevity. How artificial intelligence is going to be critical in our own longevity. Well, let's take a dive in it, because I think in some areas artificial intelligence could be, and I also think that there is a massive myth that goes along with it, and I will tell you why. I will explain to you why the biggest problems or the issue I have with AI in longevity. This came from PwC, and PwC works with strategies and marketing. You can find them on the web very, very simply. They look at six areas in which AI could be critical in your longevity. First is an early detection. Well, I think that is absolutely necessary, don't you? I think absolutely necessary to find out what's going on before it becomes a problem. It's much easier to put out a small fire than it is a big fire. I mean, that makes sense, right? It's much easier to find out if you do have a tumor that it's found early enough that it's only in one place and it hasn't metastasized. Correct? I mean, yeah, and AI can do some pretty phenomenal stuff with that. I had a CAT scan done and for my hips last year, 2 years ago. And it was phenomenal. I mean, I know that's just a CAT scan, but the information we gained from that was like, holy cow. In diagnosis, using artificial intelligence in diagnosis, finding out what's going on with you. Again, phenomenal. Here's the interesting parts about both of those, though, is that early detection and diagnosis, there has to be a problem. One of my big issues with AI is the dependence upon AI in this is, once again, we have to wait till there is a fire. We're not going to use AI. AI in these two areas don't make a big enough bang. Don't make the biggest bang by having no fires. These two areas, which I think are critical areas, I think are important areas. I don't think it's the most important area for us, though, is that there needs to be a fire in the house before these two can come into play. Decision making. Well, I don't know if AI would then be able to play out the percentages for you. I mean, one of the biggest problems I have with percentages in any kind of healthcare is that they never take into account you. They don't take into account that I'm a 61-year-old guy who's worked hard to keep healthy by doing this. I don't do those things. I do these things. They pretty much played upon, you have this, and this is how everybody proceeds with that disease process. That would be kind of neat if they could take it more, make it much more personal, more P2P, person to person. Even in the treatments of you, once again, we have to have a problem. There has to be a fire. Might be a small fire, might be a big fire, but there needs to be a fire. So if we're looking at this, early detection, diagnosis, decision as in what am I going to do next with the problem that I have, and then treatment, all of these necessitate that there be a health concern. Interesting. Number 5 is end of life care. I have to tell you that when my mom, in her last month or so, last couple months of life, she had someone from hospice come in, and they were phenomenal for her. I don't know if AI can replace that, to tell you the truth. I think what I would hope we don't do is replace the P2P, the person to person, with a artificial the person, A to P. I just kind of made that up, but I hope we don't replace that. Is that my mom found it extremely beneficial to be able just to tell someone, I don't know, because it wasn't my point to, wasn't my position as her son to ask her, hey, what are you talking to the hospice lady about? Is to ask her, what her fears were, what her concerns were, what questions that she had. And I would hope that AI would not be put in that position because it was so massively beneficial for her. So massively beneficial for her. So early detection, diagnosis, decision making, treatment, and end of life care all necessitate there be a problem. We may have if you heard me speak, I speak on this metaphor all the time about fires and smoke alarms. And that many of our care plans are based upon where the smoke alarm is going off instead of finding out where the fire is at. Well, this necessitates that there be a fire of some kind somewhere, somehow, before AI becomes of a tool to us. But one of the biggest places they talk about in this, and I found very, very interesting, which I relay on to you, is that one of AI's, I'll read this article, read this just a very short paragraph for you. One of AI's biggest potential benefits is to help people stay healthy so they don't need a doctor, or at least not as often. I would love that. The use of AI and the Internet of Medical Things in consumer health applications is already helping people. I had not heard of the Internet of Medical Things, and so I had to look it up. And the Internet of Medical Things is, what is the Internet of Medical Things? This comes from techtarget.com. The Internet of Medical Things, IOMT, is the collection of medical devices and applications that connect to healthcare information technology systems through online computer networks. Medical devices equipped with Wi-Fi enable the machine-to-machine communication that is the basis of the Internet of Medical Things. Understand, the machine-to-machine communication. That's interesting. The robots are talking to each other. Are they talking to humans? They're talking to each other. The Internet of Medical Things. I found this very, very interesting. Had you heard of this? I hadn't heard of this before. Is the connection of medical devices and applications that connect to healthcare information technology systems through online computer networks. You're like, excuse me, what? Well, what? Years ago, my brother and I we were in Florida, heard a drive time radio. This is how long ago. It was drive time radio when they had people on there talking and stuff and playing music. One of the DJs talking about your toaster oven is talking to your refrigerator about you. Now you're going like, they are. Holy cow. So we look at this. One of AI's biggest health potentials is to help people stay healthy so they don't need a doctor. Here we go. Technology applications and apps encourage healthier behavior in individuals and help with the proactive management of a healthy lifestyle. It puts consumers in control of health and well-being. That sounds great. Here's my problem with it. Well, here we go. Additionally, AI increases the ability for healthcare professionals to better understand the day-to-day patterns and needs of the people they care for. And with that understanding, they are able to provide better feedback, guidance, and support for staying healthy. Okay. Here is a couple things. And so I'm one of those guys that not only do I read the words they use, but I read the words they don't use. So one of AI's biggest potential benefits is to help people stay healthy. They didn't say get healthy. And that's a dramatic difference. Here is early detection. There has to be a problem. Diagnosis, there has to be a problem. Decision-making has to be a problem. Treatment has to be a problem. End of life care has to be a problem. And one of AI's biggest potential benefits is to help people stay healthy so they don't need a doctor, or at least not as often. They don't talk about people getting healthy. This is one of my biggest problems I have. One of the myths I see with AI is that getting people healthy. And it also comes from this article. This article is from, this is all over the place. You hear about this on a regular basis. This is from the New York Post back in 2022. Over 75% of American adults are failing to exercise. That's what our Centers for Disease Control state. Over 75% of American adults are failing at exercise. This is from August 30th of 2022. Data collected in 2020 and published by the National Centers for Health Statistics on Tuesday shows that these numbers are astounding. Only 24.2% of adults aged 18 over met the recommended amount of both aerobic and muscle strengthening activities for a combined average of 150 minutes per week. That's the magical number of 150 minutes per week of getting your ass up and get going. AI doesn't help with that. How do we know? The number of smartwatches that are out there, the number of phones. How many of you do not have one of these magical little instruments? They actually make phone calls too. Is you can schedule everything you've ever wanted. I use probably a fraction of what's on there. Same as you. How about we had it remind us to go exercise? Well, I still have to prepare to exercise. I have to get my clothes ready. I have to get my ass up and out and not go like this. Turn off. Nope. We still got to do that. We still have to go to the grocery store and eat, first of all, purchase healthy food. Here's my question for you. And I've done this. I've done this study. I've done this a number of times with classes I've gone and taught. I come into colleges or high schools, but mostly colleges, and I ask the students in health classes or nutrition classes. I split the class into half, 50-50. And I say, get your phones out. I'm allowing you to get your phones out. And this part over here, this part of the class over here, I want you to find for me as quickly as possible the top 10 healthiest foods for you, or top 10 anti-cancer foods for you. Hurry up. Top 10 anti-cancer foods. Go. This side, give me the top 10 cancer-causing foods. Top 10 cancer-causing food. Top 10 anti-cancer, top 10 cancer. I said, ready, go, and raise your hand when you have got it. How long do you think that takes? Yeah. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, fractions of a second. As soon as you top 10 anti-cancer foods. Boom. Boop. Right there. How long does that take? Fractions of seconds. Seconds. You can scroll through and find out what site you want to rely on the most. You have a choice of this stuff. It's astounding. I then take this, and for the anti-cancer foods, I say, okay, give me Betsy over there. Betsy, give me the top 10 foods. And she gives me the foods. Okay, anybody else have anyone's different? Okay, this one has us. You may come up with, of the top 10, you may come up with 16, 17 foods that these different sites that the kids have brought up. To come up with 16 or 17 foods that are anti-cancer. Okay, let's go the ones that the foods that are going to promote cancer. Okay, Ben, give me yours. He gives me the top 10. Anybody else have one difference? Okay, say we come up with 16, 17 to 20 foods. Thank you very much for your participation. Question for you is this. How many of you did not know these? How many of you, both groups, did not know that these were foods which were anti-cancer? How many of you, and you can do this on your own, look up after you watch this, listen to this. How many of you did not know this? How many of you did not know that the top 10, top 20 cancer causing foods are probably stuff you have on a regular basis? And you see the kids' hands raise. And my question is, how could you have not known this? How could you have not known this? You have you've had two umbilical cords in your life. One was when you were born to a human. The other one is you're attached to this. No doubt about it. The umbilical cord is here. How could you have not known that those foods cause cancer? Do you think AI would help with that? And the answer is maybe. I don't know. Is AI going to stop those companies from producing those foods? No. Is AI going to stop those companies from pouring millions upon millions of dollars into the marketing, research, and selling of those foods to you? Uh, best answer. The most no. How could we have all these students who are in health classes and nutrition classes not known that these are the top 10 foods that are just phenomenal for you? Or that these ones are actually detrimental to your life and longevity? How could they have not known that? Is AI going to say, by the way, Otto, you shouldn't be buying that? I mean, because that's the reality of it, isn't it? Is AI going to eliminate the chip and soda aisle in the grocery store? You know what would be much better than having AI is eliminating that aisle. I got to tell you, I enjoy um, a good chip, a good curly chip, naturally baked and everything. Love that. I enjoy those. I'm a snob about sodas. I just don't. I'm not a huge soda guy, but um, why don't we start there? Why don't we just make it easier? The remaining, so 24.2% of adults aged 18 over met the recommended amount of both aerobic and muscle strengthening activities for a combined average of 150 minutes per week. That means 75% did not. The remaining three-quarters of the population otherwise fell short, some by not engaging at all. More than 1 in 5, 22.7%, met only the suggested guidelines for aerobic activity, while a few, 6.8, focused mostly on strengthening muscle. That leaves a staggering 46.3. Can we round up just a little bit? Let's say 50%. Nearly half of U.S. adults who failed to meet the minimum in either category. Research shows health benefits kick in with at least 150 minutes a week of moderately intense aerobic activity, and that both aerobic and muscle strengthening activities are beneficial for a healthy lifestyle, according to health officials. The CDC has previously reported that 73.6% of American adults aged 20 up are overweight and 41.9% are classified as obese. Isn't it just massively interesting that nearly the same number, isn't it interesting that nearly the same number, the percentages, that 74.9% of adults, 75.8, excuse me, 75% of adults 18 and over don't get the exercise they should. Let's round up to 75, make it easy. 75% of adults don't get the exercise, while 73.6, so let's round up to 74. 74% are overweight. What could be the correlation? What's the correlation? I don't see the correlation. What's the correlation? You think AI is going to help with that? Are you effing kidding me? So isn't it amazing? Amazing that if we look at the statistics, 75% of adults don't meet the recommended requirements for exercise in aerobic or strength training. That 75% of adults don't meet those requirements by the CDC. 75% of adults don't meet the requirements by the CDC in aerobic or muscle work. The 150 minutes a week, they don't meet those. And nearly 75% of adults are overweight. What do you think the correlation is? This ain't rocket surgery. This ain't rocket surgery. But astounding that we actually even anticipate this to be a problem. We see this as some kind of problem whatsoever, and you go like, "Are you what? What?" Based on a series of survey questions, investigators found men more often met physical activity guidelines compared to women, 28% to 20%, although the amount of exercise decreased with age of both genders. You look at this and go like, I anticipate, I understand that the possibility of AI. I understand that. But we have to also understand that it's not going to help you. It's not going to force you to get up and go do it. It's not going to make you make better choices at the grocery store when you have an industry whose whole job is to have you eat this stuff. AI, I can't foresee AI overcoming that. Do you? When you have a chip and soda aisle, when you have intention, when you have companies who have millions and millions of dollars whose sole intent is for you to eat stuff, you're going like, you probably shouldn't. Then they give you this. Well, just a little bit didn't hurt. Everything in moderation, right? No. No, not everything in moderation. I get that all the time. Everything in moderation, right? No. So those are my problems. I understand that people have an idea that we can actually transform what AI can do for us and the benefits of it. Could you learn more about treatment plans? Yes. About a diagnosis, what that diagnosis means? Yes, you can learn more and more about that. AI is not going to pick up the weight for you. AI is not going to do the push-up for you. AI is not going to put the sneakers on for you. AI is not going to get your ass up off the couch and say, let's go do this. AI is not going to have you choose better foods. Not going to stop you from buying foods, just are. I got to tell you, the other day I came out of the grocery store, the amount of people who have carts full, and they're on the carts on the side, they're of soda. They have it on the side, so it doesn't take up room inside the cart. They're on the sides, like they made like a extra high barrier wall of soda around there. You've seen that, right? Like they got their food inside the stuff, but then on the side it's raised up. It's a raised little. They're like this. It's like their little tank. It has a raised size. The soda armor wall they have around that. You think AI is going to stop that? Neither do I. You want a better future? You make better choices today. It's really that easy. Hey, I'm Dr. Otto Janke. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for coming along in the Empire Longevity Podcast. We'll see you real soon.